Welcome to Modern Wisdom with Dawn Ricci. I'm Dawn Ricci, a spiritual mentor, healer, psychic, and medium. My podcast is all about empowering you with spiritual insights on health, wellness, relationships, and careers. Join me and my guests as we navigate life's twists and turns, sharing wisdom and expanding knowledge together. Hit subscribe now to stay updated and never miss an episode. Hey everyone, and thank you for joining me today on Modern Wisdom with Dawn Ricci. And I have Brent Webb. He is an acclaimed mind power expert and a personal development leader. And Brent has worked with superstars like, oh my God, loved her, Joan Rivers, Chaka Kahn, Dionne Warwick, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, and he appeared twice at the White House. God help you. He has headlined his own self-help training programs and seminars within Google, Ford Motor Company, Nabisco, and the Hilton Hotel brand. He teaches people how to understand the hidden abilities they possess to do more, be more, and have more in every area of their life, from finances to relationships. For more than 2 decades, he's focused helping people create lives of prosperity, rewarding relationships, and spiritual awareness. Brent, thank you so much for joining me. I so appreciate it. And I am going to start you off about mindset. Tell me about how the power of the mind can truly change our lives.
Well, Don, thanks for having me. I'll tell you, mindset is one of the most important things. Everything in life that's a problem, it's almost always mindset. And I mean, I've been through drugs, drinking, cancer, and you can say, oh, that's a health issue, finances, but in the end, they're mindset things because it's the way you're approaching them, the way you're looking at them, that's going to determine if you're going to be able to make it through them or not. So when I was a little kid, I started out as a little kid magician and in Ohio, and I was an only child. And so I would go to the library every week and get magic books. And one week I grabbed the books on the shelf, and one of the books that was in there mistakenly was The Magic of Believing. And it was all about the power of the mind, which was a book that Joan Rivers talked about, Phyllis Diller, a lot of people I've worked with.
Oh my God, Phyllis Diller.
Later on. But at the time, as a 10-year-old, I thought, wow, this is amazing. There's something, I realized there's something here that I didn't even know existed, this power, of belief that could really change things. So no matter what I did, and I started out as a magician, working in Vegas and working with celebrities, but I've always had the mind power thing in the back of my mind. So about 20 years ago, I started really putting that in the act and teaching people that, and it's just changed so many people's lives, including mine, because we just don't realize the first 8 years of our lives were programmed. I mean, when a kid is born, they're a blank slate. When they're happy, they laugh. When they're sad, they cry. But then they start getting programmed by their parents and the people around them and their siblings. And then they go to school and the teachers and all of that, and TV and TikTok, and all of that is programming. So about 9 years of age, it's like the tape stops. You've got a tape running in your head that's recording everything, and then it stops. And now for the rest of your life, that's the tape that you're going to be playing when you're on autopilot. For most people, it's about 90% of the time. So you have all this old rusty programming that's been put in you by other people. It was put in you when you weren't mature. And now as an adult, it's your responsibility to figure out, okay, what the hell is going on up here? What is going on inside my mind? And then you can start changing it. Most people spend their entire life, they literally go from birth to death and never realize there's anything else. They don't realize that what they're listening to is just programming, and they just live by it. So that's kind of my thing. I just teach people how much more there is, that there is untold levels. But I mean, if you can connect with that inner you, so it's similar to what you do. I mean, it's teaching people of this inner power, and that to get to it though, you've got to get through all of those mind lies that you told yourself.
Yeah, because what happens, we do lie to ourselves, and we put ourselves in a box, and again, I cringed in my face when you even mentioned TikTok or social media. I mean, I'm my age bracket does not belong on social media.
Right.
Well, it's too much work, but You know, if I, as a female and a little kid or teenager, if I had to deal with social media when I was in high school or grade school, I know what I went through as a kid, as a female, being bullied or being teased or being excommunicated out of the girls' group or whatever, what happened in school. Can you imagine what happens times 3 billion when people do things to you online? It's there forever and they constantly berate you. That's why we have such a problem. But anyway, not to get off on a tangent, but yes, it is about mindset and it is about peeling back the layers so that you can understand who you are and what beautiful energy that you possess within your body to live a really awakened and conscious and um, beautiful life without all the baggage that you carry around from what you've been put in that box. I agree. Um, is there like for me, all right, as a psychic, I try to get into a headspace, or I do get into a headspace. I open my third eye and I kind of project out that energy of what I need to capture around my clients so that I can read them. That mind power, is that kind of the same thing? How would you explain that? Like the how someone would feel to actually, give them a tip of to do that on themselves.
Well, mind power can mean a lot of things to different people because, in other words, one of the things people always say is mind control, which people think means controlling other people's minds. Everybody wants to learn mind control because they want to be able to control other people. And mind control, just like mind power, real mind power, is controlling yourself, because you can't do anything in the outer world before you change the inner. And that's the problem with humanity. We're searching outside for everything. We think that the guy is going to make us happy, that the smaller butt is going to make us happy, that the facelift is going to make us happy, the new job, the place, the this, the that. So we're always searching. And what it does is it puts happiness away from you constantly, forever, because it's an inner thing. Happiness is an inner thing. You can't go out and buy it. You can't. It's like confidence, happiness, courage. Those are all things that are inner that you grant yourself. Yet our screwed up society makes us search for it in the outer world. So we think, oh, that car is going to make us happy. That this status. Is, it's always the, or whatever. It doesn't have to just be status, but for some people it could be. For others, it could be even, godliness, religion. I mean, some people take something and they're going to use whatever it is, right? So you have to just know that mind power is whatever it means to you. And for a psychic, or for somebody who's using their mind power for something that a regular person isn't, or for a normal person isn't, it's still in that same genre, but it's taking control of yourself, because it doesn't matter about anybody else. We're all, oh, my kid, I want to change my teenager who's doing this or doing that. It's always you first. We always put ourselves, in other words, if somebody called and said, your son just got caught spray painting the school, right? What we do right away is, oh my God, what are the neighbors going to think? And it doesn't become about him and why he's doing it. It becomes about what it's going to look like for us, what we've got to do now. And I've got to leave work. And we always put ourselves in the situation. And we've been doing that since we've been children. That's why we literally have millions of things inside that we just hold there with willpower. And mind power is not adding anything. It's not becoming superhuman. It's removing these mental blocks that you've placed in your way. That's when you feel the energy. I mean, you've got this amazing rush of energy that flows 24/7, but we've blocked it with all this crap that every time you hold something in, it requires willpower to hold it there. So at the end of the day, when you're 30 years old, 40 years old, you could be holding daily 500,000 different things, little tiny things, big things, embarrassments, things that you really like. But that energy is transient and it wants to go through you, and you've kept it. So either you've clung to it because you liked it, or you've suppressed it, repressed it because you don't like it. But either way, you're holding it in there. So that energy needs to go. And I mean, those blocks have to go so the energy can flow. So mind power is just one way of being able to get in there and figure out what's going on. And then every time you remove something, the willpower gets stronger and the energy gets stronger. I mean, it almost takes you there just to start becoming aware of the problem. Because like I said, most people spend their whole life never knowing that there's a way out.
No, they don't. And also too, I think it's really important to say that mind power, and you also have to speak it. If you speak your truth, and like once you realize it, like saying, you know, gosh, I feel like my self-confidence is totally in the toilet because I realize now that my mother used to always say how horrible I looked, or things like that. And when you finally realize that and you say it, that's like starting to shake that block and then let it blow out, right? Because that's what I do for my clients. I help them to release those blocks. Now, this could be blocks from this lifetime. It could also be blocks, from other lifetimes that you've carried over, that paranoia that you can't drive across the bridge, that sleeping disorder that you feel like you can't go to sleep because you had such fear, you know, things like that. That is definitely a block. It can help you, it can help you start to feel better. You may, obviously, I'm going to just do a disclaimer. Yeah, we don't want to start diagnosing anybody, but it'll help you start feeling better. And then you take it to the next step. You either go to a professional, you go to a healer, you go to a self-improvement person, you go to a coach who's only going to tell you the truth and help you to get to the other side in the way that you need to live your better life. I just love that. I love it. So I know that you're a meditator. So how does meditation change your life?
Well, I give meditation credit for all of it, because without the meditation, I don't believe that you can get to where you want to be without it, without some form of it.
Yeah.
Because since the beginning of time, man has been meditating, but it's been lost. And like we're talking about today, we have a 7-second attention span. It's like literally, okay, nothing's happening for 2 seconds. I'm on my phone, and okay, it's like you can't sit silently for 5 seconds without getting paranoid and getting nervous and getting anxious. And I mean, this stuff is created that way on purpose. TikTok and all of those things are created to give you little hits of dopamine and flashes of color. And so, you just have to know that we need to be able to sit in a room quietly and connect with ourselves. And that's what meditation does. Because what you're doing, most people don't understand it. They think you're trying to stop the voice in your head. I call the bitchy roommate. You've got this voice that talks to you nonstop. It's always negative. It's always telling you all the things you can't do and all the things you did in the past that were wrong, right? So you're not trying to quiet that voice in meditation. That voice will quiet eventually, but that's not the idea. The idea is you're super aware. So I teach people just to count to 20 over and over and over again, 1 to 20 silently in their head. You get to 20, you go back to 1, because what will happen is you'll end up on 47 and you'll have lost your train of thought. You go immediately back to 1. The trick is you don't get mad at yourself. You don't get upset. You don't, wish you'd done things differently. You just go back to 1. And what it's doing, it's forcing your lower mind. It's giving your lower mind a job, counting. And then what will happen is you will eventually transcend that, and you will be above that mind. And then you're in this area where there's nothing. There's super silence, because you're connected to yourself. You're deep in meditation. And people think it's some big woo-hoo, you have to go in a cave for a year and meditate. You don't. Every successful person I've worked with from the big, they do it. They take, 10 minutes, 20 minutes every day. I do it twice a day. I did 40 minutes this morning, 40 minutes this afternoon.
Wow.
Just because it's like a refuge. I mean, it's like having a chapel inside where nothing can get to you. Because again, we all think the outer world is the main thing. We've got these two worlds going on. We've got the inner world and we've got the outer. And every one of us, every single person has the same situation, inner world, outer world. Except we all think the outer world is the important one. And we don't pay any attention to the inner, where the inner is where all the good things are. Like I said, love, courage, confidence, all of the good things are inside. All of the things that don't mean that much are on the outside, but those are the things we're all going after: the cars and the houses and the jobs and the Jordache jeans that I just dated myself, whatever you're going for. Okay. I almost said Halston. I almost said Halston dress, which really would have dated me, right?
I know Jordache.
So that's what we do. We're so screwed up that we think it's an outer world thing. And so we're always just never quenching the thirst. Meditation, I swear to you, does all of this work automatically. You don't have to go, like you go to a therapist. Okay. And, some people Okay, they love it. It helps them. But if you go talk to somebody every week for years, don't tell me that when you leave the office at the end of the session, you're feeling great, because you're not. You're feeling, you got all this stuff churned up, and now you're going to go home and you're going to be feeling that, and you're going to be, living in that. Meditation allows you to count, do a mantra in your head, do something, trick the mind, and this stuff will process in the background. I mean, I've cried during, things have come up just out of
Yeah.
nowhere, because they're trying to release. This energy never is meant to be trapped in your body, and we're holding all these things in, and it wants to go. That's why your mind is so amazing. In your sleep, it will release things by disguising them. So maybe your parents died in an airplane wreck. Now all of a sudden you're dreaming about, two birds flying, and you're crying. You don't know what it means, but your mind is so intelligent, it's creating something similar to release that. Because
Yes.
that's what's happening. People are trying to always figure out why did I dream about a coyote doing this? Okay, there's a reason. Your mind is trying to help you. I mean, you've got this amazing computer inside. We all get one when we're born, right? When you buy a cell phone, a toaster, a microwave, anything, you get this huge manual. It tells you everything about it, how to use it, right? You have this thing, which is the most sophisticated supercomputer ever invented. It's like you're on your own.
Yeah.
Learn it, go. And I mean, I was in school as a kid, and I remember my teacher always saying, you need to learn to focus. Brent, why aren't you focused? I said, okay, did I miss that day? Because I don't remember learning how to focus. And when she thought about it, she agreed, because she hadn't either. Nobody ever teaches you how to focus. Nobody ever teaches you how to quiet your mind. They
Yeah.
just keep adding more and more and more stress. So meditation is taking a few minutes for yourself every day and connecting with the inner you. Instead of asking the outer world for answers to questions, you can ask yourself, because really you, and I know you believe this. I mean, you're connected to spiritual consciousness, to universal consciousness. We just are so blocked. And so you've got to give yourself some time every day. Meditation is just changed everything. Because no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, where I am in the world, I always meditate twice a day, because for me, it's just like, it's the reset button, especially the afternoon one, because it gives me a whole nother day. It's like I can get up at 5 a.m. and meditate right away. And then I can meditate again at 1. And if I do it at 1, I've got another 8 hours from there if I need it, because it's like you're rejuvenated. They say 8 hours of sleep equivalent to, 20 minutes of meditation. And all you're doing, like I said, is just counting or chanting or doing something in your mind.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to push the thoughts away. The thoughts are going to pop up, and it's like you're observing them. So meditation is really a game changer. People say they can't do it. Trust me, the first month, 2 months, it's like my ass hurts, my arms sore. Your mind's not, what are we doing? This is dumb. Why am I here? Oh my God, what am I having for lunch? That's what's going to happen. But
Oh my God, it's too late. I gotta go.
you are in control of your mind. We think that the mind is this crazy, like, monkey in a cage, and we're the slave to it. And it's because we've spent our whole life not training it. It's like we've just let it go completely crazy up there. So now you got to start getting your power back. And a great way to do that without, having to learn a bunch of things or go anywhere is meditation.
Hey, if you haven't already done so, check out my website at dawnricci.com, where you can book your appointment with me. If you need expert guidance in finding your own spirituality, or maybe thinking about getting back on track with health and well-being, then let's get to it with customized mentoring programs for your personal development. You can find all the information you need at dawnricci.com. Now let's get back to the show. And when you do meditate, it's opening all your chakras, it's opening your crown, it's allowing, it's really like plugging in, because now you're allowing your whole body to recharge. It's a really funny thing that you just made me realize. I really don't like meditating, but I really understand where you're going from. And I do force myself to stop, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, because I'm like one of those people, like, I have monkey mind. My mind's constantly going. But for 10 minutes a day, I just slow it down and absolutely do nothing, and just like close my eyes and just breathe, and just allow to connect just that little bit. But what you just made me realize is I have 2 puppies, right? That are keeping me up all night. Now, if I tell you, before I had these puppies, I would hit the hay and I'd be out before my husband was out of the bathroom to go into bed. Like I was out and all night long. But now I'm up 3 and 4 times a night because who's whining, who's vetching, who's complaining. And so I said, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do readings. I'm going to be too tired. But I have been actually like just kind of forcing myself at about the 3 o'clock mark to just settle in for a few minutes, just like that, what I say, oh, just my closing my eyes, a little cat nap. And you're right. It does help me because I don't go to bed till 11 o'clock. Now, I'm telling you, I've been doing this probably since early April because long story short, I made a commitment to take the 2 puppies and I didn't separate them in crates. So they're together. So all night long they wake up and they're like, playing and this and that. So I can't separate them now. So now I have to like live with the what I did, right? So yeah, they're getting older and yeah, it's getting better. But my point is that I realize that because I am taking that time during the afternoon, that is giving me those extra 5 hours at the end of the day for me to plug away and continue to work because no one could be handling no sleep like I have been,
Right.
Yeah. Um, meditation, I also feel it is a real lifesaver for some people. And it does bring up, it gives the opportunity where your brain slows down enough to open up to give you a tidbit of information or a memory that you need to clear. It really does happen all the time. And then whether you choose, like you were saying, whether you choose to tear up and get it out and move it along, that's great, but at least you have that time to get through it and understand where it came from and then journal through that information. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, a lot of my videos when I do social media, and I give the 5 top tips of, and one of them is always meditation. And I say, I feel like I'm sounding like a broken record, but it really, really does work. And half of them
For
don't
sure.
even know what a record is. So, right. Um, what do you think? I mean, I have the voices in my head, as a kid, I thought I was a little crazy. But what do you think the purpose of the voices in our head, good, bad, or indifferent? What do you think that they're for?
Well, first of all, the voice in your head is not you. That's the first thing that I teach people because they all think that that's them. The voice in your head is just the past. We have this mechanism. There are 2 voices you can control in your mind. There's a voice that you can make talk. In other words, if I'm trying to figure out something maybe I did in the past, I can make that voice talk. Now, what was her name? I can't remember her name. Was it Sally? No, was it? Okay, you can do that. But then there's also the voice that just pops up out of nowhere. You're walking down the street and the voice says, "Hey, remember that time you peed your pants in high school," or whatever, like for no reason. Those things are trying to release all the time. You said in meditation, you can definitely see them, but those things are trying to release all day. And because we're oblivious and we're on autopilot, we don't realize it. Meditation, because you slow down, you're able to see it. It's going on during the daytime as well, but you just never take any time. You don't realize it. I mean, there's a billion things pulling your attention away from
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So you have to kind of get yourself it's one of those things where you have to take, like you said, you take the time, and I do it every day. But for whatever your practice is going to be, journaling, you've got to make time. You set yourself up every day that you're
yeah,
going to do it, because the biggest trick in all of this is listening to you and I talk about it is one thing, but actually doing it is another. And there are
yeah,
so many people that watch every video and they read every book and every new age thing that comes out, but they don't do any of it. And
yeah,
if they try anything, it's very, just a little bit. And it's like, that's the thing that's going to change your life. The
yeah.
information isn't going to do it. I mean, it's the key that opens the door, but you got to walk through all by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the voice in your head, I mean, it's like there used to be a TV show where they had all these characters that, would fight with each other. And it's like the person, Herman's Head, I think the name of the show was.
Yeah.
And it had all these characters, they would fight with each other, like, no, he's not going to do that. Yes, he is. He's going to do that. And so I think that it's so hard for people to push through that. if you can push through that, you're on that marathon. You are there. And
Well,
that's the secret sauce.
another trick I tell people all the time is name the voice in your head. Because if you give it a name, like I named mine Carl a long time ago, and now when the voice starts, that bitchy, voice that's not helping, you can go, oh, there goes Carl again. And you look at this voice like a petulant child. It's not, because it's not the voice of God. It's not the future. Like I said, it's a mechanism that's there to help you. In other words, what it's doing, you are a computer, right? That's right out of the box. So when you're born, it's like you haven't added a bunch of programs. There's just an operating system. So then over the course of your life, you're collecting data, your experiences, you're doing things. But when your mind goes into that mode where it goes into the past and tries to help you, it only has the information that you input. It only has the information that you lived. It only has your information. So in other words, if you're walking down the street with 3 friends, and there's a guy walking towards you, and that guy looks like the uncle that hit you when you were a kid, you can be freaking out inside. The other couple of people are nothing, right? Because it's your experience that's making that happen. So
Yes.
you're never seeing reality. You're always seeing reality through the lens of your past. And that's what that voice is doing, trying to protect you. So it brings up something that oh, remember the guy that hit you? So it's trying to protect you, but it's not, because what it's doing is, like I said, it's keeping you from ever experiencing reality. You're always seeing it through your past, and it can only be yours because, right, it's only the things you've lived through. So your childhood, your schooling, your religion, your whatever, that is what you're seeing. So you're never seeing true reality. It's through this lens of the past. So once you name the voice, once you start to become aware of it, I always tell people there's the ABCs of mind power: awareness, belief, and connection. The awareness is the easy one. It's start realizing what's going on. You're walking around all day long. There's a voice talking in your head. You're driving somewhere, right? You don't have to go, okay, I got to turn left here, and then I got to go down a half a mile. You're not doing that, right? You're in your mind arguing with your husband, figuring out what you're going to have for dinner, thinking about the puppies, whatever it is. You are on autopilot. And when that happens, that old rusty tape, I'm not good enough, I'm not, whatever it is from your childhood, is running up there. So becoming aware of what the voice is saying, the easiest way to do it, get some Post-it notes, put them around the house, draw, hearts, whatever on them. When you see the Post-it note, it's just a trigger for you to stop, write down what's on your mind right then. Because then after a week of doing that, if you do that 10, 15, 20 times, you're going to start to see what a load of BS. It's not even logical. It makes no sense. It's old, outdated, rusty programming. And it becomes much easier to unshackle yourself from, because it's not helpful. It's not reality. It was created when you were a child. You weren't mature. Some kids are in survival mode, and from a bad home, they're in survival mode. So we've created a psyche based on pain and drama and from the past. So becoming aware of it starts to give you amazing power, because you can't release it if you never know what's going on. So as soon as you realize, oh, wow, doesn't make any sense, it starts to lose its hold. It's like anything big and scary that you kind of drag into the light, it just can't hold up, because it's not made, it's not made for that. As soon as you do that, it kind of disappears. And so, like I said, you don't have to do a lot of counseling, other things. If you work on yourself, these things kind of work through automatically. I mean, the mind is an amazing thing. We just don't understand at all what we've got.
Yeah. And letting go, I was going to ask you about that, Pat. Next was letting go of the past, because I know my clients, they hold on to everything from the time they were a small kid to the time where their husband, maybe has cheated on them or something like that. And even though the husband has said sorry and a million different times in a million different ways, that just can't be forgiven. And they just can't let go of that. Now, I know that's like a can of worms of a scenario, but half of the healing and half of the repair is letting go and forgiveness. And so what words of wisdom would you have about forgiveness and letting go of the past?
Well, the past is the easiest thing to let go of because there is zero that you can do about it. That's what I mean. If you think about it logically, the current moment that we're experiencing right now, this is the moment. This is the moment where you have your power, where you can make changes, where you can do whatever you want to do. It's right now. But nobody lives in this moment. So they say about 40% of the day is spent in the past. So that means you're thinking about all the things you wish you could have done. If I had done this, this wouldn't happen. If I didn't say this to him, he wouldn't have done that. You're doing that. And another 40% of the time, you're in the future worrying about all the things that are going to happen and all this, catastrophes you think are going to happen. That leaves 20% of the time in the now, which is the power moment, right?
Yeah.
So letting go of the past and the future, you would think logically, I mean, that'd be the smartest thing to do, the easiest thing to do, but it's not, because what we've done is the things that we like, we want to hold on to. The first kiss, the first car. In most people's life, there are maybe 6 or 7 things where you have just this tremendous rush of energy. You're feeling all that Shakti energy inside you. And you're thinking it has to do with whatever the situation was at the time. So that's why we always think, oh, the house does it, or the car does it, or the whatever, the kiss, the that. So we store those things. And there aren't many. There's a handful of those. But we also store all of the things that we don't like and we're afraid of and that we hate and that we don't want to happen. And so every one of those things goes in too. So it's like an episode of Hoarders. You would think logically, I would not want to keep things. I'm eating food that's making me sick. Why am I keeping that food? Why am I continuing to eat it? But that's what we do. And then once you've done that, you've kind of put it away and it becomes your stuff. It becomes, you can't go there with me. We can't go there, which means you're getting close to something that bothers me. When somebody says you can't talk, you can't talk to your father about that. You're getting close to something that bothers dad. Instead of getting to the root of the problem and fixing it, no, let's just not touch it. Let's just not get near it. So you live your whole life with that. You have all of these things inside you. And you broke up with your girlfriend. She drove a red pickup truck. And now every time you see a red pickup truck, you get all those feelings. They rush back. It's because the thought and the feeling are connected. I mean, they're connected together and we store them away. And now anytime anything pops up that's even close, like you just said, your husband cheated on you and your husband's name, your ex's name was Bill, say. Now, not only is the thought of your ex-husband going to bother you, but anybody named Bill, any husband that's cheating, is it Bill? You're going to a party. Is Bill going to be there? I don't want to see, but so he might be your ex, but not in your mind because you're still living with the guy inside your head. So there is it's a sum zero total. In other words, there's nothing good from living in the past or the future. So those are the
suspicion is going to carry over into the next relationship. So that could actually make it even worse.
Not only that, you'll just repeat. You could just repeat the same relationship because all your because you haven't done anything to get rid of your triggers and your blockages. So you're going to attract the same people. So, you're not going to do anything. That forgiveness is not for you. It's not, I mean, it's great, but it's not for you. It doesn't matter if, I've had people that have said, oh, my mother, and she did this, and she's been dead for 20 years. Why? Okay. There's nothing that can be gained from that. So forgiveness is powerful because what it does is it doesn't let them off the hook for what they did to you, but it lets you off the hook from letting them continue to do it to you, which is huge, right? I mean, there's nothing that there's no quality that comes out of living in the past or the future. It's all just, it's all hurting you. So those should be the easiest things, like I said, and any form of meditation, prayer, chanting that you can do, well, can help somebody kind of start that. Just kind of see where you are. What's going on in my mind? How do I feel about this? What situations are triggering me? When you go out during your day, why do you feel strange all of a sudden when you see this? Start thinking about those things and you'll be so far ahead of everyone else. Because nobody does that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for that. I think boundaries too. Once people kind of learn their own boundaries, and so then things won't penetrate with them anymore, and I help a lot of clients with creating boundaries. That's really important as well. Self-love, someone who creates self-love in their life is it's just as important as boundaries. You're stepping up, you're showing the world that you love yourself first, you're putting yourself first, and everything else is coming around you is either secondary or equal to, and you're not letting things penetrate to you. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, self-love is a pillar of that for sure. I mean, you can't go out and try to get anything until you've given it to yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to love yourself, because what's going to happen is you're going to be searching for that love in everyone else. And it's never, it's certainly not the right place. We expect so much from other people anyway, but think about what we're really doing. I've got all these blockages and all these things that bother me and all these things I've held inside, and I need to find somebody that can match that. In other words, okay, don't do this because it bothers me. You're asking somebody to kind of fit. It's a jigsaw puzzle, and you're asking somebody to fit into that. If you loved yourself first, if you were yourself, Phyllis Diller, that was her thing. Be yourself, no matter what. Be yourself, because that's what you got to do. Get to the point where you are comfortable in your skin, that you can talk. Some people, they go to a place, and if the crowd is wealthy, they act different. They get intimidated. If the crowd is this, they change depending on the situation in the outer world. And then somebody who has self-love and who understands themselves, they are comfortable in their skin. That's why you see somebody walk in, with confidence, and you go, wow, that person, it's almost like the energy is just coming off. They're magnetic. Yeah. And they don't have to be the best at whatever they just, and I'm not talking delusion where somebody's got confidence, like for no reason, like you look at somebody and you go, okay, this is just delusion. This is not confidence. Right? You've got to, it's got to be, the right way. But that is somebody who owns it. They own the good, the bad, they're able to take the things that work and the things that they're healing and the things that they're working on. And every time they work through something, that willpower comes back, and then you focus it where it matters. And I've worked with a lot of celebrities and famous people, sports teams. These people understand that. It's like every time I work through something, I get that little bit of willpower back. I take it and I focus it where it matters. And I keep doing that. And all of a sudden, whatever the goal is, the dream is here, it's expanding, because I'm taking all of this negative energy, all of this willpower that I've been holding all this crap in, and now I'm using it. I flip the switch and I'm using it positively. Yeah. It doesn't take anything. Schooling, I always say, you don't have to meditate in a cave. You don't have to go. You just have to spend some time, getting to know you. And that's the most terrifying thing for most people, because the mind is their biggest tormentor. Yeah. Think about it. Your mind is the only thing that knows everything you've ever done, that you've never got caught at, that you'd be so embarrassed if anybody found out, right? And your mind will use it against you at the earliest opportunity. It will start saying, remember that time you did this? And it will do that to you. Nobody's ever killed themselves without their mind telling them to. I mean, think about it. The mind had to tell them. That's how much of an enemy your mind can become if you let it go unchecked for your entire life.
Yeah. I love the fact that when you say that you can walk into a room, and yes, if you have the confidence and you have in the right space in mind, you can own the room and not be obnoxious about it, but you can own the room, and you'll see the people who are in that right state of mind always have the magnetized to other people. People flock to them, right? People always will flock to them. Brent, oh my gosh, I learned so much from you today. I loved all your information, and thank you so much for coming. Please tell us how we can all get in touch with you.
Well, 2 easy ways. I have a brand new mini course on meditation. It's free. It's meditationminicourse.com. So it's super easy. But if you're out there and you're thinking, I can't do it, I'm not sure, I don't know how to do it, this is a great way to start. It'll give everything you need to know to get into a meditation practice. And the other thing is always brentwebb.com. We're actually redoing my website right now. I mean, it's still up, but I have a brand new website that's about to come out too. And that's really the best way. All about the seminars, the live events, and tons. I think 800 YouTube videos. So you can always find, pretty much whatever you're trying to figure out on there. So brentwebb.com and meditationminicourse.com.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to actually go on there too, because I think your words of wisdom are just fabulous. And I really thank you so much for coming today. And hey, maybe we'll connect soon enough.
Awesome. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening in. See you soon. Hey there. So before we head over to the next episode, I wanted to let you know about my show named Beach Bench Medium, and it's on my YouTube channel. As I passed by beach benches that line the boardwalk, I felt the nudge from Spirit to bring family members to their bench and give them a reading. If you have a bench dedicated to someone you lost, then get in touch with me at hello@dawnricci.com. I would love for you to be on the show. Thanks for listening.